Hi everyone, this is Group 4. I'm Jenny. Brooke, Giovanna, and I chose Cyclone Lam in Galiwenku in 2015 as our emergency response. On February 19, 2015, Cyclone Lam struck Elcho Island and caused huge losses to local residents. And then I will do the inhabitant analysis. Galiwenku is a Yolngu community on Elcho Island. The Yolngu culture is one of the oldest surviving cultures on the earth. It can date back more than 60,000 years. In the hearts of indigenous people, their connection with the land is the most important thing. The people of Galiwenku identify with a specific land, and the kinship system forms the basis of social interaction. The Yolngu people believe that all Yolngu's creation ancestors crossed this land, created animals, gave birth to people, gave them languages and rituals, sung their songs, and created their land. In the hearts of Yolngu people, songs are the most important because they are songs taught by ancestors at the time of creation. All plants and animals in the Yolngu world are named by songs, and people are always named by clan songs, and these songs are sung in all ceremonies. In order to integrate the culture of the indigenous people into the architectural design, we believe that indigenous musical instruments and sound boxes should be added to the shelter. This allows indigenous people to reduce the damage caused by disaster through activities and communication. Also, the patterns and shapes of the decorations of the shelter can use totems or indigenous language sign. Today, most of Aboriginal people in Galiwenku adhere to traditional method of hunting, living, art, and law. The political stance of the Galiwenku people, therefore, follows that of their own culture and customs. Their ideology is also derived from their history. Language is sacred and inviolable in the minds of indigenous people. The tribe with which they identify is a linguistic group, and in most cases, the name of the tribe is the name of the language. Therefore, in the process of designing shelters, communication with indigenous people is essential. The architectural style of the shelter should be designed in accordance with the style that local people like to facilitate their lives. To know how to help people with special needs, we decided to do some surveys, count the number of injured people and people with disabilities, and survey the number of elder people and children in the destroyed community, gather their wants, and developed a plan to satisfy them. Although the first cyclone has passed, it is still potentially dangerous. For example, the debris from vehicles, trees, buildings, bridge, and other objects destroyed by cyclone can injure people, and rainfall from cyclone will flood the roads of the community, and a secondary cyclone will come after the first one. Cyclone may also cause a tsunami. In addition, the reconstruction work is progressing slowly, and the loss may be exacerbated the next time cyclone or other disaster strike. To solve the problems in our designs, we use impact and wind-resistant materials to build shelters. Also, we locate shelters as high as possible to avoid flooding by standing water. It is also necessary to increase the speed of construction of shelters. There are several human rights emergencies in Galiwenku. The first one is the women of Galiwenku spoke to United Nations, demanding recognition of the Yongu Law. In the minds of indigenous peoples, their lands are sacred and inviolable. They are on their own land and want to use their own laws. In Yongu law, women are supreme, and the women of Galiwenku said in a statement that women bear and uphold discipline, moral education, and law in their communities. As a result, women are highly respected and considered holy. Their bodies are sacred. Yongu law is within the bodies of indigenous people, and it connects everything. Therefore, the recognition of Yongu law is necessary for indigenous people. And the next human rights emergency is No More campaign in Galiwenku in 2016. It is a campaign that against domestic violence. Many people held signs and marched in the street in Galiwenku for this campaign. To solve these problems, we believe that the Northern Territory government and the Department of Aboriginal Affairs can help people in need. And next, Brooke will analyze the site of Galiwenku.
Hi everyone, I'm Brooke. I'm going to introduce the site analysis of Galiwenku. First of all, let's talk about the climate conditions at Galiwenku. The figure showed the average climate conditions between 1985 and 2015. The average temperature of the Elko Island, which is also called Galiwenku, of the whole year remains really high, which is above 25 centigrade. In summer, it rains a lot from December to March. In winter, although it rarely rains, between May to September, the humidity is really high. I conclude the information into 4 points. First, the temperature remains really high through the whole year. Second, Galiwenku has wet and dry seasons. As you can see, in winter, it never rains for these 3 months. Third, it rains a lot in summer, which is the wet season, and rarely rains in winter. Fourth, the humidity is high even in winter, and it will become higher in summer. Because of these special climate conditions, the lifestyle of younger people will be influenced. Because the climate is hard to indicate the seasons, the local residents learn to define them by other seasonal indicators, such as water states and flowering plants. Younger people are good at observing these changes in the environment to know when particular foods and resources are available. That is to say, they have their own seasonal calendars, which is different from the one we use now, but it is also understandable. Second, they also observe the water as a symbol in a climate to distinct dry or wet seasons, and they also express completed ideas through metaphors of the flow and the character of water. For example, gammon, which is the local language, is the meeting and mixing of salt water from the sea and of fresh water from the land. Gammon is sometimes used as a metaphor for two-way learning. Third, Yongu pen on bark from Gadeka tree. The bark are collected after the wet season rains when they are less likely to split. They are heated on a fire and then straightened on logs or other heavy objects. This is one of the painting they paint on this bark. And it is worth to mention that the color, is also come from different sources of rocks. Galiwenku is an island off the coast of Arnhem Land in the Northern Territory of Australia. It is the major community on Elko Island, and it contains the most remote and largest Aboriginal community in Arnhem Land. The land has a population of around 2,000 people, including 70 people who are not the Aboriginal. The East Arnhem Regional Council is the local government. They provide many services, including animal management, library, and traffic management. It is also worth noting that they had their own airport, Elko Island Airport, as you can see on this picture, which might be a good choice of airdrop relief supplies. There are a lot of local plants and animals living on this island. Eucalyptus is one of the biggest forests of Arnhem Land, and there are many animals living in this forest, such as bush-tailed possum, delicate moths, and northern brown bandicoot. The Arnhem coastal bioregion has high biodiversity values, with 275 bird species and approximately 2,000 plants recorded in bioregion. Coastal areas support some distinctive animal species. Mangroves is one of the well-developed plants at the shoreline of Arnhem Land and supports a lot of animal species, including false water rat, mangrove monitor, chestnut rail, and mangrove golden wister. As you can see in these pictures, the local animals are usually small in size, which is hard to dedicate. People need to take care of them more carefully in the emergency scenario. There are a lot of potential danger on this island, but I think climate change might be the biggest potential danger to this site. The chain reaction of the climate change will lead to erosion of coastal area and increase in sea level, which are likely to have damaging consequences and coastal infrastructure and ecosystems. It would also lead to the loss of vulnerable ecosystems and biodiversity because it has valuable terrestrial, freshwater, and marine ecosystems and a number of endangered species in the East Arnhem area. Third, it would be easy to damage the building and infrastructure in the city. Climate change provides the opportunities for more intense tropical cyclone, more frequent rainfall, and changes in air temperature are likely to directly impact buildings and infrastructure like the roads, electricity, and water distribution. It will also lead to serious implication of culture and traditions. Climate change may impact the culture and traditions of the East Arnhem community. Changes in season, migration patterns of key species, and possible loss of some culturally significant sites could occur as a result of climate change. The climate change will lead to a lot of unexpected destruction of this site as well. Therefore, when doing the emergency scenario, people need to consider using eco-friendly materials rather than one-time use material.
Hi everyone, I'm Giovanna. Next, I would like to introduce our investigation and research. Since our team members are not in Australia, we cannot carry out field investigation or primary research, so our sources are secondary studies. Cyclone Dam caused great damage to Galiwenku residents and communities. In the face of the emergency workers made a series of plans. For example, first, responders evacuated residents to the shelters and delivered water and fuel. Secondly, after the cyclone, the emergency response team cooperated with the service departments to solve the daily supply of residents. Then, the police assessed damage and prioritized the work. Finally, crews repaired roads and restored power. Next, we reflected on the threat of Cyclone Lam to the community and the measures taken by the government to deal with it. Cyclone Lam destroyed 80 houses in Galiwenku, but the new territory government's unspent $20.3 million housing reconstruction fund has been misallocated. leaving some people in Galiwenku still waiting for a permanent home. Therefore, in order to compare the emergency strategies of Cyclone Lam, we also studied similar situations, including typhoon and hurricane. We have found that such natural disasters are very sudden and destructive, posing a great threat to the safety of people's lives and property. Therefore, the staff in this field, based on the basic principles, developed the emergency response plan. The security department should carry out information resource allocation in the case of a hurricane emergency. The engineering maintenance department shall be responsible for the emergency treatment of the failure of electrical equipment, such as power supply. The cleaning department is responsible for environmental protection and post-disaster recovery. Set up police forces to prevent the occurrence of criminal cases. The establishment of the emergency team will reduce unnecessary losses. Next, we collected some of the best precedents for solving the problems that might be encountered in the emergency in design field, such as architecture and interaction design. First, this is an interaction design example. This is an interactive website designed for the San Francisco City Emergency Response Plan. Crows have discovered that strengthening the level of community connection is the key to recovery. So the designers designed the platform for communication in response to disasters. The SF72 website will update important information such as maps and disaster response to guide residents to complete important instructions in the event of disaster. The images below are part of the site pages, which include connecting residents, gathering available supplies, and helping people with emergency plans. The significance of the website is that within 72 hours after the disaster, before the outside rescue workers arrive at the disaster area, citizens can respond independently according to the instructions of the website and rationally face to disaster. The next precedent concerns architectural design, which plays a key role not only in rebuilding infrastructure but also in responding to the comfort and safety needs of the affected population. Here are two examples of post-disaster buildings we collected: tentative temporary shelters and shift post tents. These two buildings are designed as temporary shelters for the affected areas, with complete equipment and environmentally friendly materials to provide residents with a mobile and comfortable small home. Tentative's idea was to design an emergency shelter suitable for any terrain or climate. The temporary shelter is made of fabric. The roof collects water and provides lighting and ventilation using environmentally friendly materials. Second is Shift-Pound Tent by Christine Wepper. On the right, Christine Wepper has designed a windproof tent that comes complete with care case, first aid equipment, and a water filter. We created systems that can accommodate up to 1,600 people, Wetter said. These are references from websites and articles used in our investigation and analysis of the Kalibunku community. Well, that's all for our introduction. Thank you for listening and watching.